Her parents let her get attacked by wolves twice? Maybe it's best that Bella didn't pick Jacob. Hide your huskies, Grace is coming. Hiya, I'm Kyla, and I recently read Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater, and all I can say is that 2000s YA is a different breed. Shiver is a supernatural romance about a girl who falls in love with a weather-dependent werewolf. Yes, you heard me correctly, weather-dependent, as in the weather determines whether or not he will be human. A lot of people describe it as Twilight if Bella was Team Jacob, not because there's a love triangle, but because there's werewolves, instalove, and angst. So much angst. I had honestly never heard of this series, but I saw the whole thing on sale on Kindle for $5 and my finger slipped. I honestly wish it hadn't though, because I hated this book. So if this was your childhood, please click away, because I have thoughts. Mean thoughts. So without further ado, this was the absolutely infuriating plot of Shiver. Also, this book was surprisingly dark. So trigger warnings for filicide, child abuse, and a lot of animal violence. The book opens with Grace getting attacked by wolves, which should have been interesting, and yet somehow even that was boring. She was just sitting there letting it happen, and honestly I feel that, you know, given the state of the world, just take me out. But while she was getting literally mauled by wolves, she literally says, "The musky smell of their coats made me think of wet dog and burning leaves, pleasant and terrifying." Babe, what? Which of those is pleasant? I've never seen someone smell those smells and be like, "Oh, I need that in a candle." Wet dog. But before the wolves could finish the job, one of them intervenes and she survives. So ever since that day, she would always see that wolf who saved her, and they would engage in really intense staring contests. And this is where Grace started pissing me off, because she has literally no survival instinct. Tell me why she says, "When I'd outgrown the swing, I'd step off the back deck and quietly approach him. Hand forward, palm up, eyes lowered." What? She literally went up to the wolf and held her hand. I don't care if that's the wolf that saved you. As far as you know, it is still a wild animal. Darwin, come get her. Natural selection obviously missed one. Because what are you doing? But speaking of the wolf, his actual name is Sam, and we find this out because the book is dual perspective. And this is where I knew Wattpad had certifiably rotted my brain, because he's a dark, brooding wolf named Sam. I'm sorry, that doesn't strike fear into my heart. Like, I was expecting an Axel, a Ryder, a 𝘀𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗿. Honestly, this isn't even subversion, because the most famous werewolf is Jacob. So I guess OG werewolf names were just the top 10 from boybabynames.com. Time skips to present day in Grace's POV, and her mom is talking about a recent wolf attack that just killed one of the students. And Grace is in denial like her first name is Cleo. She's like, maybe Jack, the guy who died, was unconscious and just dragged into the woods. She says, he could have just passed out by the side of the road and been dragged into the woods while he was unconscious. It's not the same. You can't just go around trying to cause a panic. And her mom is like, girl, be fucking for real. He was attacked. Grace is fighting for these wolves like Young Thug's lawyer. And she's like, but mom, you're the one who said they're peaceful. And okay, Uno reverse, Grace's mom, I'm on your ass too. Cause what do you mean you stayed in the same house after your daughter was literally mauled by wolves? Grace says, I think the only way she could keep living in this house was by convincing herself of the wolves' relative harmlessness and insisting that my attack was a one-time event. I don't know if she really believed that they were peaceful, but I did. And I'm sorry, I don't care if the mortgage is paid off. I would get the fuck out. Bro, I would burn down my house if I saw a roach in it. And you're staying in the same house where your daughter was dragged off her swing and mauled. Y'all really hate her. And Grace, why are you so convinced that the wolves couldn't possibly harm anybody when they literally harmed you? Pure delusion. And she's immediately proved wrong when she goes out to meet her wolf, and he literally has bloodstains around his mouth, looking guilty as fuck. And what does she do? She hugs him. Once again, like I said, this girl has no survival instinct. And then she gives him some raw meat, and then this random white she-wolf comes and steals it. That made me laugh, because like, that bitch just took your dinner. But after that, Grace goes back into her house, and I'm an equal opportunity hater, because not only do I hate her mom, I also hate her dad. It's literally his first page appearance, and he's already giving me the ick. The book says, Dad kissed her, avoiding the pain. Have you been a good girl, my pet?
Ugh. Brother, ugh.
Like, of all the pet names, we have sweetie, honey, baby, and you go with literally my pet? Jail. Grace goes upstairs to her room, and when she hears some scratching at her window, she checks it out, and guess what? It's the white wolf who stole her wolf's dinner. And they're just looking at each other. A lot of looking at each other in this book. And then Grace growls. She growls. Then without thinking, I lifted my teeth into a snarl. The growl that escaped from me surprised both me and her. What do you mean you growled, grr? Grr. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then the wolf pees on her deck. But like, be so for real, how are you beefing with a wolf? Yeah, then she balls up the sweater she was wearing when she hugged her wolf, and she goes to sleep with it like it's her boyfriend's hoodie. Cause fuck a pillow, I want that fur covered sweater because it has his scent on it. Weird, I must say. It's weird. Grace has two friends, and they each have a singular personality trait. Rachel, who's hyper, and then Olivia, who likes taking pictures. One day after school, Olivia comes over to Grace's house and Olivia is showing her her pictures, like her art. And this is where they get into an argument. So Olivia is showing Grace her photographs and the first one is of her wolf and Grace is like frothing at the mouth. She's just out here just describing it so artfully, like, the way the sun glistens off his coat, his eyes a perfect ochre orb. Like, she's going in, like she's really appreciating the photograph. And then Olivia flips it to the next picture and Grace just does not care anymore. She's just looking at it like, oh, a tree, oh, a leaf, whatever. And Olivia gets justifiably upset because Olivia is showing her best friend, quote unquote, her best friend, her art, and Grace can only appreciate the picture of her wolf. Grace is such a bitch, bro. Grace is literally rifling through the picture, just saying, ooh, and then she puts the picture of her wolf back on top. And Olivia gets irritated. So then Grace tries to pretend to care, but she just can't. She just can't tap into her vocabulary to describe a picture of a leaf, like the same way she could the picture of her wolf. She's like, I like this one. It's got great colors. Like, be so for real. So then Olivia snatches back her pictures and she's like, yeah, sometimes Grace, I don't even know why I bother, essentially. And that's entirely valid. Like, imagine showing your best friend your art that you put like a lot of your heart and soul into, and she can only appreciate the picture that she already has a vested interest in. Even if it's not something that you have a personal connection to, you can still appreciate your friend's art. This is how you know Grace is an asshole, because she's like, did she want me to pretend to like the other photos better than the one of my wolf? She just wanted you to give them the same attention, or at least feign the same appreciation. At least look at them longer than 2 seconds, bro. That's what she wanted, but you couldn't even realize that. Like, emotional intelligence, the EQ, low, very low. Anyway, Olivia leaves and Grace is thinking about her wolf and how she touched him the other day, and it's been a whole week since she touched him. And she's like, it was stupid the way I needed his phantom at the edge of the yard to feel complete. Stupid, but completely incurable. Yes, it is stupid. I'm glad you're aware, Grace. And she's out here like, oh, I'm missing part of my soul. I don't have my wolf. Speaking of the words my wolf, she says my wolf so many fucking times. Why the fuck did she use the term my wolf 71 times throughout the book, with 13 of those times being in chapter 6? Take a shot every time she says my wolf. Like, I can't. And I get it, there are only so many ways you can describe something that you don't have a name for, but oh my god. When she goes outside, you know, because she wanted to smell the woods, she hears a scream, so she goes farther into the forest. Let's have a no survival instinct counter going at this point, because what do you mean you hear her scream, you run toward the scream? Like, come on. Scary Movie 101. Why are you running towards the sound into the woods at night? I hate her. But yeah, she runs towards the scream and she sees a wolf who has the same color eyes as Jack. Remember the guy who died? And she's like, Jack, is that you? And then the wolves like run away. She's lying in bed listening to the wolves howling, and then she just has this deep yearning to be there with them. She says, I imagine myself there among them in the golden wood, watching them tilt their heads back and howl underneath the sky of endless stars. But yeah, so that was like her furry awakening, and she's just there, just forlorn, sad that she's not there, howling in the moon, bro. Howl. The next day she sees Olivia, who's, you know, already kind of pissed at her because of the whole photograph thing. And she's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tell her about Jack. She's like, I think that wolf I saw in the woods yesterday was Jack. And Olivia's like, you're crazy. Like, I can see why you want to believe that, but you're crazy. Grace is like, what do you mean I'd want to believe that? And Olivia's like, duh, you want that wolf to be human. Apparently somehow this had never occurred to Grace. She's like, oh my god, wait, that's such a concept. She's like, those long absences were because my wolf vanished into human form. The idea was immediately unbearable, only because I wanted it to be true so badly that it hurt. And Olivia's like, Grace, you're creepy. Like, your obsession with the wolves is creepy. And it's true. And Grace is like, I'm not obsessed. Yes, you are, babe. Yes, you are. Olivia literally claps back and she's like, it's all you think about, all you talk about, and all you want us to talk about. What in the world would we call something like that? Oh yeah, an obsession. And yeah, Olivia ate her up. Grace is like, I thought you were interested in them too. And Olivia's like, I am, but I don't fantasize about being one. Once again, bro, she's just going in on Grace, as she should, because Grace is indeed creepy as fuck. And then Grace gets mad for some reason when honestly all I've heard was the truth. And Olivia's like, I'm not trying to be mean. And Grace is like, no, you're just telling me that I'm creepy obsessed with something that's important to me. Yeah, because you are. Like, it's so funny how Grace can be like, oh, this is important to me, why don't you respect it? When literally she didn't even respect Olivia's photography. Like, come on now. Let's have a little self-awareness. Olivia leaves and Grace is just fuming and she's like, I'd looked at every photograph she's ever taken. I'd listened to countless rants about her family and the pressure to perform. She owed it to me to at least hear me out. These are not like equitable situations. Looking at the art that your friend makes, listening to your friend talk about her personal life problems, That's kind of part of the friendship, you know? That's kind of included in the terms and conditions. Listening to someone insist that werewolves are real is not in the friendship job requirements. Truly, you are lucky that she is not reporting you to a psych ward. Imagine being like, man, listening to my friend's problems, appreciating her art, she's asking so much of me. Be for real, like, come on, you can't, like, that's a chore for you? Man, I looked at her pictures, I listened to her talk about her parents, why don't you listen to my crazy theory? My crazy supernatural theory. And since Grace was talking to Olivia about Jack, Isabel, Jack's sister, hears and she comes up to Grace. Isabel says, I heard you telling people the wolves aren't a problem. You must not have heard the newsflash. Those animals killed my brother. And then Grace is like, you don't know that the wolves did it. He could have been... Bro, first of all, liar. Grace is completely aware that the wolves did it. Also, it's just so incredibly insensitive to not only lie about the cause, but to also protect the very thing that was responsible for Jack's death, to the girl who was literally grieving over her brother. Like, just Grace, you're not giving me any reasons to like you. It's great to know that her lack of empathy extends not only to her friends, but also to strangers. But like, come on now. And then Isabel insinuates that the wolves won't be around here much longer, and Grace is like, what do you mean by that? And then Isabel leaves and she says, ta. Like, ta-ta. Like, who still says that, bro? Like, I know this was written in 2009, but ta took me out. After hearing Isabel's insinuation that the wolves are being hunted, Grace runs to the woods. She sees an officer who literally has a shotgun, and she's like, oh, fuck. Grace is like, they need to stop. My friend is in there taking pictures. Lying on Olivia's name to protect murderous wolves is crazy, but clever. And to this, the officer is mad stupid because he tries to call the hunting party and be like, hey, there's a person in there. Maybe we should stop. And when he can't get a hold of them, he says, you know, it'll be fine. They're being careful. I'm sure they wouldn't shoot a person. That is so naive of the officer. Having a hunting party without even informing the community and being like, hey, we're gonna be hunting the wolves. Don't go inside the woods. That's crazy. Assuming that a person will be fine just because they're human is also crazy. If you're in the dark and you hear a rustle of movement, you might just shoot at it. Truly, the officer just being like, oh, will be fine. Crazy. You should be fired because you're risking people's lives. Anyway, what does our main character Grace, who has, you know, no survival instinct, do? She runs into the woods where hunters are actively shooting with their rifles to go save her wolf. So she runs into the woods where people are shooting, and she does manage to like inform the hunting party. And she's just so distraught because she's like, I know my wolf is in there. Like, what if he's hurt? She walks back to her house, which, you know, is on the very edge of the woods, and she hears ragged breathing. And what is it? It's a human, a random guy on her deck who's bleeding from being shot. Wonder what that could be. So she takes him, puts him in a car, and she drives to the hospital. One thing you should know about Sam is that he's poetic, and his chapters have some of the most question mark purpled prose I've ever heard. He just got shot, right? I was a leaking womb, bulging with the promise of conscious thoughts. A leaking womb? A leaking womb. Okay, that was a choice of words. And then in the same chapter, he says, a shattered spider's web of many colors, cracked in ice, immeasurably sad. I feel like alone, all of these phrases make sense, but strung together, it's not clicking in my brain. Maybe I just lack the conceptual depth to be able to understand just this level of like beautiful poetic writing, but it was lost on me. I'm just like, what the fuck are you saying? Anyway, they go to the hospital. First thing in that chapter, Grace says, it's rude to stare, but the great thing about staring at a sedated person is that they don't know you're doing it. I love how it's living up to its comparison to Twilight. Weird behavior. A nurse comes in and sees that Grace is still there. And she's like, honey, you don't want to go home? And Grace is like, no, I'm staying until he gets here. Quick question. Is she allowed to do that? Like, Sam, the guy, was shot. Like, which means he probably had to go to, like, intensive care, like ICU, right? To my knowledge, you're not able, if you're not first of kin, you cannot be in the hospital room. But I don't know. Small gripe. Legal hospital liberties, but whatever. Okay, after the nurse leaves, Sam opens his eyes and he's like, who are you? And then he takes her hand and he sniffs her. And he's like, I know that smell. You're the girl. She's like, that's me. So Grace understands the concept that he was a wolf, now he's human. She's like, how are you here? Why? And he's like, oh, because it's spring. Because it's warm. Warm makes me. Makes me Sam. And she's like, bitch, it's not spring, it's September. He's like, that's not good. But back to this concept, I think this is such a cool concept. So essentially how it's supposed to work is that during the warm months, spring, summer, they're human. And then during the winter months, fall, September, they're wolves. The colder it gets, the closer they are to becoming like a wolf for that season. And this is such a cool concept in theory, except it's never really elaborated on enough to where it makes sense. It's kind of just like, these are the terms of it, go with it. And that's kind of a shame. If this is like H2O werewolves, that'd be so cool. Like trying your hardest to stay warm so that you can stay a human. Like imagine a cool breeze, boom, you're a wolf, and then it passes, you're back to being a human. That'd be spicy. The mythology or the concept is just not elaborated enough nor consistent enough to really make sense. A cute concept in theory, I just wish it was executed a little better. You establish rules that you're immediately breaking because now he just got shot, he's a human. You just gotta pop out with a Tommy to be Tommy, like, okay. Like I said, there are some triggers in this book, so go to this time if you don't want to hear me talk about child abuse and filicide. After this, he shows her his wrists, which have scars on them, cutting scars, because that's what his parents did to him when they found out that he was a werewolf. Very dark. After Sam tells her that, she passes out. And then they make a plan to escape the hospital together. So she pretends that she peed on herself so that they can escape, and they book it down the hospital. And they're like, I'm so curious. Is this like actually the case? Like, what an easy hospital to escape from. I don't know, small town shit. As she's about to go, she's just like, my wolf was a cute guy and he was holding my hand. I could die happy. Okay. And so she plans to take Sam just back to her house. They make it back to her house and they're just chilling in her room. They start talking, Sam and Grace, and he's like, you were bitten. She was like, yeah. And he's like, how are you not a wolf? She's like, I don't know. And then Sam asked the same question as me, and he's like, is that why you just lay there? You didn't know they were going to kill you? No, I think she just didn't care. They're laying down, cuddling as shit. She says, even now, as he lay in my room, I can smell the wolf on him, though he was wearing scrubs and a new skin. So he stinks. Is that what you're saying? I just don't see how like a wild animal is gonna have like a pleasant scent. I'm sorry, like they're in a forest. I don't think it's gonna smell like Downy up in there, but she likes it. She loves it, actually. She is inhaling that shit all the time, bro. Now that she knows Sam's name, the My Wolf occurrences are replaced with just her talking about smelling the wolf scent on him. The amount of time she mentions the wolf scent, smelling Sam's wolf scent, takes me out. Also, her parents are completely out. Like, it's 3 a.m. and her parents are still like not at the house. And Sam is like, where the fuck are your parents at? And Grace is like, oh, gallery, art opening, because her mom's an artist. You're telling me this girl had the time to leave school, go to the woods where the hunting party was happening, convince the hunting party to leave, come back to her house to find Sam there half dead, take him to the hospital, and come back? Be so for real. Be so for real. These are the most absentee parents ever. She tells Sam to get in her bed, and he's a little like reluctant. And she's like, I wasn't sure if I was charmed by his reluctance to share a bed with a girl or insulted that apparently I wasn't hot enough for him to charge the mattress like a bull. Stop setting us back! I just hate when YA main characters are like, oh my god, why is he not objectifying me? She's like, do my boobs not beckon him? Does my poussoir not pull him in? Like, no, he's just being respectful. And also, she's known this dude for like, what? Like 4 or 5 hours at this point, and you're like, damn! Why isn't he jumping in my bed and ravaging me? Stop it, you're pissing me off. Like, anyway, he gets into her bed and he's like, they bit you should have changed. And she's like, sometimes I wish I had. She is just out here like just so saddened by the fact that her furry fantasies did not come true. I cannot. Like, I don't see the appeal in wanting to be just a wolf. Does she not have any earthly mortal pleasures? Like, do you not like to do anything in your human time? Like, does she have no passion? Like, damn, I wish I could trade out these classes for some claws. Now, at Sam's perspective, he wakes up the next morning and he notices her sleeping. He's like, I rolled onto my side, and for a while, I just watched her sleep. Long, even breaths that moved the flyaway hairs by her face. She watches him while he's sedated. He watches her while she's sleeping. Just, I like how they match each other's freak. He leaves Grace to go to the woods to go get some shit, and while he's there, he runs into the white wolf, who's named Shelby. Him and Shelby have like some low-key beef, and Shelby's a crazy one. We'll get into that one later. He says, I clung to my humanity and to my obsession with Grace like a drowning man, but Shelby welcomed the forgetting that came with her lupine skin. At least Sam is aware of his obsession with Grace. Meanwhile, Grace was fighting the allegations that Olivia was spitting. She's like, I'm not obsessed. Perfectly normal, healthy degree of liking wolves. But at least Sam owns up to it. So I respect him for that. I said, you know how I said like Sam's chapters are particularly purple prosy? He's also just so sensitive. He's a musician. He's constantly writing lyrics in his head that aren't particularly good in my opinion, but who am I to speak? Some of his lyrics are, you're my change of skin, my summer, winter, fall. I spring to follow you. This loss is beautiful. Like, was that supposed to rhyme? But yeah, this will continue to happen. He's just gonna write random lyrics or read poetry because he's just so sensitive. But yeah, Sam goes to a shed in the woods, he gets his clothes, and then he heads back to Grace's place. While looking at her boring ass basic room, he realizes how different they are, and he's like, I was suddenly struck by how dissimilar we were. It occurred to me that if Grace and I were objects, she would be an elaborate digital clock, synced up with the world clock in London with technical perfection, and I'd be a snow globe, shaken memories in a glass ball. What the fuck was that? What kind of comparison? That is such a random ass metaphor. Grace ends up sleeping in. When she wakes up, she's like, what time is it? And he's like, it's 11. She's like, I'm gonna be late for school. She's like getting up. He notices her camisole. And he's like, I could just see how clingy and unbearably sexy her camisole top was. I turned away. So Grace should be happy. He notices her feminine wiles. But he turned away, right? And Grace is like, you don't have to be so chaste, you know? Like, it's not like I'm naked. I'm never gonna be mad at a guy for wanting to try to be respectful. But okay, Grace. Then she's like, you haven't seen me naked, have you? And apparently he has when he was a wolf. And she grins at that as if her privacy wasn't just invaded, but you know, she finds it cute and quirky. He's like, I didn't mean to. Like, he feels guilty. And she's like, are you always so apologetic? Like, damn. I'm sorry he has morals and qualms. Grace is so, ugh. She's just, ugh. They go into her kitchen to make some food. He gets more lyrics in his head. He says, peeling off my skin, leaving just my eyes behind. You see inside my head, still know that you are mine. Truly Shakespearean level. He starts making eggs, and then she kisses him. I was aghast. Has he brushed his teeth? Has he showered? I don't care what lyrics he has in his head. I need to know if he had Listerine in his mouth. Because what do you mean you're kissing her? He changed his fit. But did he shower? Because he was a wolf for who knows how long. Chomping on animals and shit. And now you're kissing him. She has known this guy for less than 12 hours. Like, she literally picked him up off her porch last night. And you're already kissing him. What the fuck? She took you to the hospital. Y'all had one conversation at night. He went off to get clothes and now you're kissing. What do you mean? What the fuck? This is instalove at its finest. Except it's not. This is where my problems arise. Because if it's not instalove, it's zoophilia? Because if the reason she's kissing him is because she is just so overwhelmed by the fact that the wolf that she has known all these years is actually a human, that means that she fell in love with him as a wolf. Do we see the problem? Do we spot the issue? Because you're telling me you fell in love with a wolf? With a wolf? Am I the only one who thinks that's a tiny bit weird? This is romantic love. And it's not even like you met him as a human before and then he turned into a wolf. You met him as a wolf. No words were exchanged. Just your weird ass staring contest. And you fell in love. I don't give a fuck about this relationship. Because where was it established? The 6 years of him being a wolf? The first 10 pages of the book? It's the romance was automatically ruined for me. Because he's a wolf. You fell in love with a wolf. If y'all had developed at least even a little more as a human couple, maybe. But no. It was 3 easy steps, like Special Agent Oso. Also, during the kiss, her fingers ran through my sideburns. Okay, Bridgerton. I'm losing light, so I'll be back. And we're back. So yeah, so they have their earth-shattering makeout session. Then Grace suddenly remembers that they don't know each other. So while she's buying a new car, they play 20 questions. I think she's got those steps swapped a little bit, but at least you got there. She asked basic questions about like how the wolf thing works and if he was the one who attacked Jack. And that blood on Sam's mouth was actually not from Jack. It was from a baby bunny that he ate. Okay. Sam elucidates a little bit. He's like, oh, Jack had a BB gun and he was provoking the wolves. And so they attacked him. As if that makes it better. And then Grace, you know, focusing on the important questions, asks, do you think of me when you're a wolf? Girl. And like as a wolf, Sam has no sense of self, which makes it even weirder that Grace fell in love with him as a wolf. Because he can't even recognize her properly. Like as the one who actually has, you know, human consciousness, Grace falling in love with a wolf is once again just weird to me. To her question, he says, I think of the way you smell. I said truthfully. I reached over and lifted a few strands of her hair to my nose. He sniffs her hair. There is so much sniffing in this book. He just takes her hair and just like, what? Okay. So then Grace decides to ask about his parents, you know, the ones that abused him. And he answers truthfully. And then suddenly that's too much for her. And she's like, let's switch the subject. As if she's not the very person who just asked. Then why did you ask if you didn't want the answer? Was that necessary? Did you really need that part of his lore to like truly understand him? What a question to ask. Bro, 20 questions. What's your favorite color? How did you feel about your parents' abuse? So then Sam asked her, how is she still human after getting bitten? Because, you know, at the beginning of the book, she was attacked by wolves, so she should have theoretically turned into a wolf as well. And she's like, I don't know. She started exhibiting symptoms. She had that really bad flu until one day her dad brought her to the grocery store with him and he left her in the car. Oh my god, how does this family still have custody? She says, I guess dad had gotten home and gotten the groceries out and forgotten about me. Just left me in the car, I guess. How's that for responsible parenting? What do you mean what do you mean you left her in the car? Y'all are so bad at this. First of all, she was sick, so that should already kind of be in your awareness. And then secondly, she's not like a small child. Like, usually those stories you hear, they're pretty young. This bitch is 11. You forgot about a big ass 11-year-old in the back seat. You just didn't turn around at all. Parents are just so infuriating. Like, how are you that incompetent? So, you know, they trauma bonded over their bad parents. At night, he's just like chilling in her bed and she says, his body was warm and he smelled so good. Like wolf and trees and home that I buried my face in his shoulder. It's still not clicking. Wild animal in the forest is just not, how is that better than Downey? Like, I've never smelled a wolf before, so I could be missing out on greatness. I just don't know how she is just so enamored by this scent of wolf, 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 wolf. Like, what are you talking about? And then she's just like, I can't live without this. And I'm just like, you can't live without this boy that you've known for a day. For a day. So the next day, Grace goes to school and she's just like admiring Sam. And she says, for a moment, I felt an irrational stab of guilt that my feelings for Sam were replacing those that I had for my wolf, until I remembered that he was my wolf. What do you mean? What do you mean feelings? And then she says she feels so much relief and that her obsession is so easy now. And babe, you're not beating the allegations. And I'm sure the author did not intend for this to come off as like weird or like zoophilia or like taboo, but like it's not helping. I just couldn't excuse it anymore because what do you mean feelings? Up until now, you could have just called it kind of weird, obsession-y, but she literally says feelings. And then she literally says she feels guilty for feeling feelings. She thinks she's cheating on her wolf with Sam. That literally directly implies that she has romantic feelings for the wolf and that those were initial. She literally fell in love with the wolf. And this is where she lost me. I can't. What do you mean you had feelings for a literal animal that has no concept of self, that cannot communicate with you? Because what did you fall in love with? What did you fall in love with? His fur? Him looking at you? Any of the traits for which you could build a relationship, typically, like communication, proximity, similarity, you're all lacking. You had none of that. So how the fuck did you fall in love with a wolf that was always at the edge of your backyard? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Morally, how the fuck did you fall in love with a wolf? How is there no barrier? Not to say that these two things are the same degree, but her being relieved that her wolf is actually a human has the same energy as a guy fucking a girl and finding out she just turned 18 at midnight. Like, it's weird and it's icky. So girl, what were you gonna do if he didn't end up being a human? Check off rights 100? Just like, where was her obsession gonna stop if he wasn't a human? So then Sam, mind you, is the one who's driving her new car, and he drops her off and he's like, can I use your car? She's like, yeah. So after Sam drops Grace off, she meets her friend Rachel, you know, the hyper one. And Rachel's like, oh my gosh, Grace, you missed so much. A wolf showed up at school yesterday. And Grace is like, what the fuck, a wolf? And she's like, ah, fuck, that must be Jack. So Grace tells Sam about that. And at night, he's just in her bed. He's in her bed again, thinking about it and reminiscing about his wolf family. And it reminds him of the time that there was this girl in his family named Krista. And Krista ended up killing 2 people and turning 1 person into a werewolf. So because she was really violent and dangerous, Sam's pseudo-dad, Beck, had to take her outside and hit her. While he's thinking about this, Sam literally says, angry people didn't make good werewolves. Then why the fuck did you turn Jack into one? The entire conflict of this book is the result of being stupid. Like, y'all literally have a past example of turning a violent person into a werewolf and it not working out. And y'all decide to turn a violent person into a werewolf and are surprised it's not working out. Jack is gonna end up being the main antagonist and the propulsion of the conflict throughout the whole book. And it was because y'all are poor judges of character. Like, literally, if he was shooting at y'all with BB guns and provoking you, you're like, ah, yes, you guys, you know what I'm gonna turn him to a werewolf. That's gonna solve our problems. That is so fucking stupid! It's not like y'all don't know what's gonna happen. Y'all ain't have no forethought, not a smidge of forethought. More weird Sam Grace love. He's looking at her baby hairs and he says, they were fascinating, these soft feathers that would grow up to be her hair. I was incredibly tempted to bend down and bite them ever so softly to wake her up. What? So we go from sniffing her hair to biting her hair. That, my dear audience, is character development. You're biting her baby hairs. I hate this shit. What the fuck? Like, what? They settle into their fucking newlywed life so easily. He's like, oh, we fell into such a nice, smooth routine. It's been 3 days. Shut up. And then he finds her photograph collection of the wolves because, you know, Olivia was taking pictures of the wolves and giving them to Grace. Grace was collecting these wolf pictures like a damn Pokemon card. So she has a whole little stack of these, and Sam sees them and he's like, oh my god. He asked Grace to show him the photo of himself because he doesn't really know what he looks like as a wolf. And then while he's looking at it, he gets jealous. He's like, what was it in this photo, in that wolf, that made Grace's eyes light up? What if it wasn't me? What if she was only in love with some other wolf and she only thought it was me? How would I ever know? Just more confirmation that she fell in love with a wolf, and now he's concerned. He's like, what if she likes a different wolf? Just cementing the weirdo wolf love. Thank you for proving me right. And then Grace comes over. She unfolded her legs and stood up, facing me, then ran a hand through my hair. She lifted her palm to her nose, inhaling deeply. You know, you still smell like you do when you're a wolf. So we've had sniffing hair, we've had wanting to bite hair, and now we've had hair tousling palm sniffs. I can't. This bitch runs her hand through his hair and she's like I hate this shit. Also, the fact that you're saying he smells like a wolf all the fucking time. He still smells like a wolf when he's human. He still smells like a wolf. Has he been showering? Does he need some Irish Spring? Get that dude some Dior Sauvage or like some Gucci Guilty. What do you mean he still smells like a wolf? Like, do wolves smell great? I need to know. Cause like, when I think of wolf, I think a little musty. Next day after Sam drops Grace off at school, he decides to go to Beck's house. Beck's house, like I said, Beck is like his pseudo father. He's like the pack dad. Goes over to the house to see if anyone's been there. And then Sam, while thinking about Jack, says his death had done enough damage to the pack. Once again, y'all pick and choose who you attack. How are you getting mad at Jack for dying when y'all the ones who did this shit? Like, do some background check, do some research. Like, go bite someone that they don't care about. Go bite an NPC. Cause you bit Jack, who in the story is the son of the richest person in the city, who is a popular kid at school. Y'all brought this upon yourselves. When he sees that Jack hadn't been to Beck's house, he decides to go to Jack's house, or Jack's parents' house, and he breaks in. Leave the poor family alone. I wasn't tidy about my breaking and entering job either. I shattered a window in the back door with a brick and reached through the jagged hole and turned the knob. Insult to injury, bro. These rich parents just lost their son and now you're destroying their house? Rude. Damn. He walks to their house, sees some stuffed animals, some taxidermy, and once again he's just struck by song lyrics. My mind snatched for song lyrics but could only settle on a single line. We bear the grins of the smiling dead. Not a bar, but okay. So back to Grace's POV, it's the morning, and she's talking to her dad. Once again, you know, her neglectful dad who left her in the car to die. Her mom had just left to go to Minneapolis or something, and so her and her dad are chatting. So her dad's making coffee. He asks if she wants some. She says yeah, and then he just starts watching TV, and he doesn't get her any. And then she's like, Dad, where's my coffee? And he's still just watching TV, so then she just starts just saying random shit about pandas and cannibals and sex, and then her dad finally like whips back around. He's like, what? How is her dad so oblivious, especially after just asking her if she wanted coffee? Like, you were that distracted by the koalas on the TV. Oh, I hate him. Then he's asking her like where the cleaner is for his gun, and she's like, why do you need gun cleaner? And he's like, cause I used it. And Grace realizes that he was part of the hunting party that went to go kill the wolves, and she is betrayed. She is struck. She's like, he knew how I felt about the wolves, and he'd gone behind my back and made plans with Tom Culpepper anyway. The betrayal stung. Her dad is like, but Grace, I did it for you. So you can go kill wolves for her, but y'all can't move? How are you doing it for her when she was literally attacked 6 years ago? Like, what is hunting the wolves doing for her now? What is this timing? He is on some demon timing, because what do you mean you wait until she falls in love with the wolves and she wants to protect them, and she literally ran into that damn forest to save them? To go shooting? To go shoot them? come on now. This is where this could have been a really interesting exploration of that dynamic. Like, you really caring for something, and then your father or someone close to you, like, going off behind your back to, like, uproot that. That could have been addressed in, like, a really nuanced way, and we really don't get any of that. So, shame. So then her dad leaves, and it says, Sam stood in the hallway, his hair wet and spiky from a shower, his eyes on me. That took me the fuck out. Because you're telling me she and her dad were in the kitchen talking, and he did not hear the shower on? With his daughter literally in front of him and his wife away. You didn't wonder, oh, I wonder who's taking a shower right now. How cavernous is your fucking house for you to not hear the shower literally going? I can hear someone cough downstairs, and you're telling me you didn't hear a whole ass shower. Honestly, the armor protecting her squatter boyfriend is crazy, because how did he not hear that? So after a while, Sam suggests that they go back to Beck's house to go poke around and look for some more clues. And Grace is like, I'm down. They go to the woods, except instead of like trying to look for clues, Sam just takes her to this golden wood that she always thinks of, and she gets there and she just like, oh my god. And so this golden wood was like always in her like innate memory, and Sam is like, this is how we know you're a wolf, because only wolves can like send each other pictures, brain pictures. So after showing her the golden woods, it's getting a little colder, so they head back, but lo and behold, she had left her keys in that hoe. So now they're in a pickle because Sam is getting colder and he is on the brink of changing into a wolf. So they go inside Beck's house, and now she has to figure out how to warm him up. The power isn't really turning on, and it's not getting hot quickly enough. So what she does is that she takes his ass and puts him in a hot bath, which is a very triggering experience to him, because that is innately tied to his parents and, you know, their abuse. So she's apologizing profusely, but, you know, fuck a trigger. She wants him to stay a human. But it works, and he stays a human. He warms up. She asks him more questions about the wolf thing, specifically about like the whole sharing brain pictures thing. And he's like, it's not a superpower, it's the consolation prize. It's the only way we get to communicate. We can't remember words. We couldn't say them even if we could wrap our wolf brains around them. At first, Sam is like, maybe I should just stay in Beck's house. But Grace is like, no, you're coming home with me. And he's like, okay. So Grace and Sam go back to her house. And for once, her parents are actually there. They're actually home. So now Grace has to go make sure the coast is clear. While waiting in the car, Sam says, I couldn't quite believe that I was hiding in a car in the middle of a freezing cold night, waiting for a girl to come running back out and tell me that the coast was clear to come sleep in her room. I'm glad you said that, Sam, because I can't believe it either. But Grace is able to sneak him back into her room. Once again, how Grace is hiding a whole ass teenage boy in her room escapes me. But she manages it. So Sam just goes to her room while Grace is talking to her parents. You know, as much as I hate Grace's parents, Sam hates them more. He says, I'd already noticed that Grace and her parents had no problem talking about unimportant things. They seem to have an endless capacity for laughing pleasantly together about inane topics, but I've never once heard them talk about anything meaningful. He literally just called them shallow. That's so funny to me. Grace comes back. Sam goes to brush his teeth with her toothbrush. Ew! No, ma'am. No, ma'am, I don't care. I don't care how long I've been dating someone. I have never felt compelled to share my toothbrush with them. I'm sorry, that's a line I just have not crossed yet. But it's great to hear that he does indeed brush his teeth, even though it is with her fucking toothbrush. You're telling me that he went to Beck's house, got him some clothes, but he couldn't grab his own toothbrush. Ugh. He's looking at himself in the mirror, and he's like, I wonder what Grace saw in me, what fascinated her. And I wonder that too. Truly, the problem that faces any romance book of any kind is, why do these two characters like each other? And if he himself is asking, I don't even know why she likes me, what do you think the readers are asking? Cause same. And he's like, right now, every phrase, every lyric that I had in my head ended with the same word, love. And the other problem that plagues romance, aside from not knowing why these characters like each other, is how quickly these characters like each other. Cause that love and still love. Ruining romances since 2009. These are the lyrics that, you know, were rocking his brain. He says, she draws pattern on my face. These lines make shapes that can't replace the version of you that I hold inside when lying with you, lying with you, lying with you. That shit don't even fully rhyme. Pack it up. And then he says, it's just so fast. I want you to, I stopped short of saying love me because it seemed presumptive. Want to be with me. I wanted it forever. I just never thought it would actually happen. Why? Where, how, what do you mean? Y'all been together for a couple days, and you've only ever really observed her with your wolf brain that doesn't actually articulate thought. So how the fuck do y'all love each other? Where is it? Because it's not here. I like how they acknowledge it is just so fast, because it is fast. Incredibly fast. Unnecessarily, unjustifiably fast. Bro, this entire chapter was just filled with dialogue that pissed me off, because then she's like, I wish I'd changed. We knew. We then knew you wish you changed, bruh. This is the culmination of her furry fantasies. She's like, God damn it. She's like, I could have been a wolf girl with my wolf boyfriend running through the wolf woods, going to the golden forest while my boyfriend with the golden eyes looks at me. But alas, I have irresponsible parents and homework. Where is the appeal? And she's just like, oh my gosh, like whenever I hear you guys howling, it just breaks my heart. And then he says, oh angel, I would take you with me if I could. What? The dialogue in this book just feels so awkward, because I'm not saying a guy couldn't say angel, but even coming out of Sam's mouth, it sounds weird. Oh angel, I would take you if I could. What is that? And then he just talks about how often he sees her smelling the air, so I'm glad that I'm not the only one who noticed. This bitch and her sniffs. After the weekend, Grace has to go back to school, and school just seems so far removed from her at this point. She says, it just seems so, what it seemed was irrelevant, disconnected from my life. Like a prime student, now she's like, school means nothing to me because of a boy. Like, how is this one boy encompassing all of your life? Like, that just feels so unhealthy for you to be like, nothing matters anymore. What is school? Grace's friend Rachel climbs into the car, and she's introduced to Sam. She, so nice and to the point, she says, I'm Rachel and I'm Hyper and I'm Grace's best friend. That one sentence encapsulates her entire personality and characterization throughout the book. I love when an author is so self-aware of how little there is to this character, because truly that's all she is. Rachel reveals that a wolf actually showed up at Olivia's house, and Grace had no idea because Olivia and Grace still aren't on speaking terms because of their stupid ass fight. Grace is getting kind of worried and concerned. She's like, man, I hope Olivia like calls me. Still at school, Isabel, remember Isabel is Jack's sister, Isabel asks to speak to Grace. Isabel reveals that she knows that Jack is still alive because he literally came up to talk to her and said that if she wanted answers, she should go ask Grace. But Sam was the one who told Grace that they're not supposed to reveal their secrets to outsiders, so Grace feels like she can't tell Isabel, even though it's her literal brother. And this is where, like, it feels so weird, because it's like, they're like, oh, the only rule is that we can't tell anybody. Like, it's not like y'all have any governing body. The world and the rules are so underdeveloped that, like, what truly is the qualm? What truly is stopping you from just telling Isabel? It's not like this is like a sacred law, like it's gonna break the world order if you tell Isabel. She is his sister. Why are you like upholding this law that doesn't even apply to you? But whatever. Back in Sam's POV, he has a flashback and he's thinking about the first time that Shelby showed up. Shelby is actually that white wolf who was beefing with Grace, the one that stole Sam's dinner that day. Yeah, that's Shelby. And Shelby is weird. And not only is she weird, she is Wattpad weird. She's talking to Sam and she says, you're going to be alpha male. I read about that. And I'll be your mate, the alpha female. I must ask, what were your sources? What did you read? You read that? Where did you read it? In Wattpad? Because you know what's crazy about the whole werewolf alpha male thing is that it's not real. There's no dominance hierarchy in wolf societies. They're just families. That entire alpha beta omega shit was propagated by this one scientist who later retracted what he said when he realized it was wrong. But it had already propagated amongst community and society, and that is what stuck, not his correction. So that's funny. So if you're reading any actual reputable source, you would have known the alpha shit is not real. So her sources must have been Wattpad, bro. Then Sam, you know, sensitive Sam, shows her some more poetry. And she doesn't get it. She is just befuddled. And he's like, what I wanted to do was remind her of how she'd fallen in love with me as a wolf, without words, seeing beyond the obvious meaning of my wolf skin to what was inside. You know, just further confirmation that she fell in love with the wolf. This, I can't escape it. And now he's making her do poetry close reads as a metaphor for their relationship. Another thing I don't like about this book is how much weird and random acts of affection there are. Like, aside from the hair sniffing and shit, this time she's biting fingers. The book says she kissed my index finger and then put it between her teeth, biting down softly. What the fuck? One day after dropping Grace off at school, he decides to go back to Beck's house to see if anything has changed. And this time when he pulls up, he sees Beck's car in the driveway. Beck and Sam start talking and Beck is like, damn, you smell like hospital. And Sam is like, I really didn't think the hospital smell could still linger after a week, but Beck's wrinkled nose said otherwise. It has only been a week? He was just in the hospital a week, and so all this shit that him and Grace have been doing, like their whirlwind love, it's only been a week? Look up Instalove in the dictionary. Shiver is right fucking there, because you're telling me it's only been a goddamn week. Then Sam sees the trunk of Beck's car, and in it there are 3 people who are obviously freshly turned wolves. And Sam is like, what the fuck? He's like, bro, how could you do this? And Beck is like, let me explain. And because it's Beck's last year and Sam's last year, he's like, I had to. We need more people who can shift and watch the house and be human and shit. And Sam's like, I can't believe you. Because essentially, Beck forced them to become wolves for his own selfish needs. And that is pretty fucked up. So Sam essentially cuts Beck off after this and he goes back to Grace's place. Again, is hating on Grace's parents. Bro, he says they were college kids who had found a baby in a rush basket and didn't know what to do with it. Honestly, he kind of ate them up with that. But then he says, how would Grace have been different if she'd had my family, the pack, if she had had Beck? To that I say, your crazy ass family, your crazy ass pack. Let's go through the members, okay? So we have Salem, who is canonically psycho. Then there was that Krista girl who killed 2 people. And then there's Shelby, who is in a Wattpad love story with Sam and also crazy. And then Beck, who just kidnapped 3 people. Your family is just as dysfunctional. How is that any better? Sam wants to tell Grace about the Beck thing, but then he also doesn't want her to think badly of him. He just kidnapped 3 people. What do you mean? And then he just lets it go and he kisses her eyelids. What is with this weird honeymoon ass affection? This is the type of shit that I feel like married couples do, and you're doing it after knowing each other for a week. And then the next day, Sam is like, I want to take you on a proper date. As if his last date didn't just end in him almost shifting a panic attack and a trauma flashback. But I mean, it's for the girl he loves. He's like, I'll court you properly and then it won't make my obsession with you seem so creepy. And he's like, seems to me that mine's the creepy one. First of all, who the fuck says court? I'ma court you? What in the Bridgerton? I'm glad they're both obsessed because they can match each other's freak. But it's so funny that Grace is the one that says, seems to me that mine's the creepy one, when she was the one fighting Olivia, when she was in the throes of denial about her obsession with the wolves not being creepy. But to Sam, you're like, yeah, it's creepy, all right? And if nothing else, can you at least stay on brand? Grace is reminiscing about being attacked. She realizes that she couldn't have possibly walked back to her house. And Sam reveals that he actually changed that one day and carried her. And once again, this is why I don't like the book, because the rules of your world are so not established. Like, nothing is concrete. When you say that it's the weather, it's the cold, and then this dude just shifts because he wants to. He shifts because he got shot. Like, what? You're breaking the laws of your own universe, and it's pissing me off. Like, figure something out and stick to it. They go to the bookstore for their date, and this is the only part that was cute, because he's like, pick a book, I'll buy any of them. That was cute. And then he shows her some more poetry, and then Grace starts crying, and he's like, you crying? And now whenever I hear the words, you crying, I can only think of Gojo.
You crying?
And it's kind of unhealthy. But Grace is crying because she realizes, and Sam also reveals that this is his last year, because eventually wolves will no longer change back to being human and they'll just stay a wolf for the rest of their life. So she's like, oh my god, like, we don't have much time. On the way out of the bookstore, they run into Olivia and her brother John something. But when Grace sees John, she's like, I couldn't fathom how I'd ever imagined he was good looking. He looked dusty and ordinary in comparison, besides Sam's black flop of hair and golden eyes. That was so funny. She literally said, fuck this musty, dusty, crusty guy. Like, how did I ever like that? She's like, oh, that pales in comparison to Sam. Oh my gosh. They have introductions, but it's awkward as hell between Olivia and Grace because, you know, they had that fight. And then Olivia asks Sam, are you wearing contacts? Because he has golden eyes. Which I don't think I've really mentioned, but yeah, he has golden eyes. And the eyes are the only thing that they keep when they turn into a wolf. So, like, how does he have a golden eyes? Like, that's never explained. But yeah, Olivia is just acting really weird throughout the whole interaction, and Grace kind of picks up on it. And she's like, man, I hope Olivia calls me soon. They go back home and sleep on her bed. Our jean-covered legs tangled together, my face buried in his neck. You have outside clothes on the bed? Her parents come back home, and when her mom comes in, it brings in like a gust of wind, and I winced, hoping Sam was impervious behind my bedroom door. I really think a gust of wind from outside is gonna impact Sam, who is behind your bedroom door in your heated house. The weather threshold that affects Sam feels so inconsistent. When Homeboy was showing her the woods, he was outside for a length of time, and she wasn't worried about that, but she's scared by the gust of wind that comes into her house. Be so for real. She goes back into her room where Sam is reading a book. It was a strange book where everyone had been taken from Earth except for the main character and his lover, and they had to choose whether to make their ultimate mission finding the ones who had been taken or having Earth all to themselves and repopulating at their leisure. And then Sam asks, which one would you choose? And she's like, do you even have to ask? Girl, did you just pick incest? You are aware that in order to repopulate the Earth, you need at least 2 different pairs of individuals. Otherwise, your kids' kids are gonna have kids with each other. Like, ooh, how was that an easy choice for you? Casual inbreeding, I picked that one. Like, just another weird thing in this very, very weird book. Sam has so many damn flashbacks in his POVs. This time he's thinking about the time he had an interaction with his neighbor's dogs, who were really aggressive attack dogs. And he went up to Beck and he was like, can you show me how to kill these dogs? He's like, sure. And it ends up coming in handy because one day those dogs get out and they attack Paul, one of their wolf brethren. And Sam has to use what he learned in them. And that was some very graphically described violence. Like, not the canine on canine hate. And Sam ends up concluding that Shelby, the Wattpad she-wolf, was the one who actually let out the dogs so that they could attack Paul. How is she still in the pack? Y'all killed Krista over killing 2 random strangers, but Shelby, who tried to kill one of your own, is still there? Y'all got some weird rules. Kick her ass out, bro, or at least be consistent. Poor Krista. Justice for Krista, because Shelby's crazy ass is still out here roaming free. Then Sam asked if her absentee parents bother her. Grace is like, it's whatever, it's fine. And Sam was like, it's not fine. I've been here for weeks. How have they not noticed? And you acknowledging it barely makes it better. Because truly, how? Honestly, you've nearly gotten killed twice. Like, from your parents letting you get dragged off your swing, and then by your dad for getting in the car. And what's sad is that they're not even the worst parents in the book, because Sam's parents got that down packed. Thinking about her shitty ass parents, she tells Sam, I wish I had what you had. I wish I had your pack. Girl, no you don't. Grace decides that she's finally tired of hiding Sam, so when her parents come in this time, she just introduces, and they take it fairly well. Grace's mom shows Sam her paint-covered arms when she's talking about her work, and Grace takes that as flirtation. She's like, I knew her serial flirtation was just habitual, a knee-jerk reaction to any unfamiliar guy who had reached puberty, but still, grow up. What? Is Grace so insecure or so protective that she thinks that her mom is flirting with her boyfriend? This is not the episode of Family Guy. Slow your roll. Showing your arms covered in paint does not strike me as flirting. And if you have to fear that your mom is flirting with your boyfriend, that is weird. Sam wants to go take a nap, but the wolf side of me felt restless and unable to sleep with unfamiliar people around. As if you have not been doing that for the past few weeks. What's changed? The fact that they know that you're here now? He ends up going upstairs to Grace's mom's studio, and he sings a song that he wrote for Grace to her mom. And the song goes like, I fell for her in summer, my lovely summer girl. From summer she is made, my lovely summer girl. I love to spend a winter with my lovely summer girl, but I'm never warm enough for my lovely summer girl. I'm sorry, but I don't think that's hitting the Billboard 100 anytime soon. What was that? Then Shelby attacks Grace, and for once her parents are actually useful because her dad shoots it. At least they did one thing. And then Sam is having a guilty conscience moment because he doesn't feel sad about Shelby being dead. And I'm like, why should you? Truly, if you were sad, that'd be question mark. Because she tried to kill Paul, she tried to kill your girlfriend, and she was obsessed with you. She should really be feeling nothing but relief. While at school, Isabel comes up to Grace again to ask her what she knows about Jack. Grace is still hesitant at first, but she eventually gives Isabel her number so that they can maybe talk about it. Before Grace tells her though, Sam wants to get a gauge of her, so they invite her over to make a quiche. So the plot pauses. The plot is put on hold to make a quiche. Because quite frankly, nothing shows your true character like quiche making. When she gets there, Isabel is literally like, can I ask why the hell we're making quiche instead of talking about my brother? Asking the real questions. Truly, Isabel would be great at YA sense because she's doing it for me. I guess Isabel passes the quiche character test because they decide to answer her questions. And she asks some pretty good questions. She's like, so what if you lived in Florida or someplace really warm? And to that, Sam says that some of them tried it, but it just made them more sensitive to very slight temperature changes. So for example, one of them walked in front of an air-conditioned store and then they turned into a wolf. Now that is what I wanted to see explored more. That would have been interesting. Like the H2O-isms of it all. And you could have had much better world building, but instead, no. We only get a 2-second Q&A session for this. Shame. Then Isabel says, so that's really it. My brother's a werewolf, a real werewolf, and there's no cure. No, Isabel. They're not werewolves, they are animorphs. Truly the damage that Twilight and Jacob have done on werewolf media is immeasurable. To me, a giant wolf, a person turning into a wolf, is not a werewolf. That's a shapeshifter. When I think of werewolf, I think of wolf man. I think of anthropomorphism. I think of bipedalism. That bitch needs a ripped shirt, not Fluffy from the block. I'm thinking a wolf man, and these bitches are not wolf men. Like, that would also make more sense as far as their whole love story if they were actually anthropomorphic werewolves. Cause then there's at least some human aspect. When I think werewolf, I think Claudine. This is not giving Claudine. Grace's mom leaves her a message, and it's just her saying that she and her dad will be out of town because they're going to an old friend's place. And because Grace is kind of bummed and Sam notices that, he's like, Grace, let's go on a date. We're gonna go out of town too. So they drive an hour away to go to a candy shop. And on the car ride, once again, she's like, the only odor in the car was his musky wolfwood scent. Whenever I hear musky, I think musty. I'm sorry, it's just brain association. When they get inside the candy store, Sam is like, sniff it hard. And so Grace takes a big whiff and she smells all of the smell. She can smell the colors of the rainbow, and she's discerning every single different candy in the room. And then he's whispering in her ear and he's like, isn't it amazing? And she's like, I opened my eyes. Colors seemed dull in comparison to what I just experienced. So then her ultra sniff was just some damn near olfactory religious experience. She sees Sam and Grace being so damn lovey-dovey. She's like, oh my gosh, y'all are so cute. How long have y'all been dating? And Sam was like, 6 years. This dude counted the time when he was a wolf. They get their sweets and hot chocolate and shit. It's so cold that he literally has to run into the car. Driving back, he has more shitty lyrics. He says, thawing my skin, escaping its grip, stripped of my wit. It hurts to be me. More not rhyming, bro. What is with the not rhyming? And then he's recounting the story of when he got attacked by wolves, and he realizes that Beck, his pseudo-dad, his wolf daddy, chose him on purpose. The fact that that does not make him immediately resentful of Beck is crazy to me, because Beck literally picked you to destroy your life. That's crazy. And when they get back to the house, they start making out again. He growls, and she's like, that was so sexy. I didn't think you could get any sexier. And then she like puts her finger in his belt lobe, and that sends him over the edge. He's like, oh God, Grace, I gasp. You greatly overestimate my self-control. I'm not looking for self-control. Oh my God. And then they fuck. Beck calls Sam's phone, and Grace is the one who picks up. She wakes him up, and he tells Sam that Paul got attacked, and damn, Paul can't catch a single fucking break. Paul is always getting his shit rocked. Sam decides to randomly go look for Jack again. And this time he actually stumbles upon Jack and Isabel talking, or kind of arguing. Jack ate her dog. Bro, like I said, the canine on canine hate, crazy. And after Isabel leaves, Jack goes into his house and Sam follows him. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Completely unarmed, bro. Jack is convinced that Grace has a cure or knows of a cure, considering that she was bitten by a wolf and she didn't turn. And when Sam hears that, he's like, don't go to Grace. Jack tells Sam to get out, and Sam doesn't, and then Jack rocks his shit too. Sam is late picking her up. I wonder why. And when the car finally shows up, she just hops in, doesn't spare it a second glance. And who's driving it, you may ask? When Grace looks in the car and sees that it's Jack and not Sam, Grace knows she's fucked. So she's in the car, and Jack is driving hella fucking fast. Jack is like, you better get to talking, Grace. You better tell me where the fuck that cure is. And Grace is like, I don't know of a cure, but where's Sam? He's like, do you not understand the situation? You're a hostage, babe. I asked the questions. Where the fuck is the cure? Grace's brain cells finally start firing, and she calls Beck, and she's like, Beck, me and Jack are on the way to get the cure. We need to get the cure because Jack has Sam somewhere. We need to find him. Beck, for his part at least, understands what's happening, and he plans to leave the door open so that they can just come in, and then they'll catch him when he gets there. They pull up to Beck's place, and Jack is like, so help me God, if you're lying, I'll kill you. Goddamn. They walk into the house, and Beck tackles that motherfucker. They throw Jack into a locked bathroom, and then they start trying to figure out where Sam is. Sam calls them, but it keeps breaking up, but they figure out that he must be near Isabel's place. So Grace calls Isabel, and then Isabel starts checking every single outdoor shed to try to find Sam. Isabel is low-key the MVP of this entire damn book. She's also hilarious. I guess all the good dialogue went into her character, because she's like, if he's turned into a wolf in one of these sheds and I let him out and he rips my face off, I'm having my family sue you. I like that. I like her. Isabel does end up finding Sam, and she takes him to the house. Grace drives to Isabel's house, and Sam is kind of okay, but he says that he's teetering literally at the edge, like he is so close to transforming, but for now he's still human. Grace starts thinking about cures again, and she's like, wait, maybe a fever is the answer, because that fateful day where her dad left her in the car, she had a fever of 105 or something, and it should have killed her, but it didn't. And maybe instead it cured her werewolfism. Sam is feeling guilty about the whole Beck thing. He asks to go to see Beck one last time, even though it's literally a snowstorm outside and he is on the brink of transformation. Once again, Sam makes so many stupid decisions. Sam is so stupid. He went to the Golden Wood and almost transformed. He went to the candy shop when it was super cold and that was a risk. He went into the house after Jack and got kidnapped. And now him on the brink of transformation, he wants to go see Beck in the middle of a snowstorm. On the ride to Beck's in the middle of this snowstorm, Sam is thinking about Grace's theory some more, and he's like, you know, for you, I tried. I'd risk that 107 fever for you because I love you. And then she hits a deer and they have a really bad accident, sending her into a fucking ditch. Car's totaled, the heat is off, so now Sam is shivering. Grace calls 911. But it's not going to get there in time, so then she calls Beck. Beck chooses this time of all times to admit that he did not kidnap those kids, that they actually were recruited. Then why the fuck were those kids saying help in the back of your trunk? But aside from that, why did you not clarify shit to Sam way fucking earlier? Literally, while you were talking to Sam and he saw those kids in the back of your trunk, you could have said that they were recruited. Now Sam didn't risk his fucking humanity to come out in the middle of a snowstorm to apologize when this whole thing could have been avoided if you had communicated. Then, duh, of course, he turns into a wolf because it got too fucking cold. And Grace comes out into the snow and she's just sitting outside in the snow, hoping to change, waiting to change, praying to change into a wolf so that she can go be with Sam. She is so fucking destroyed by this that when she's inside her dad's study and she sees Sam's guitar, she takes it and she smashes that shit. She is crashing out over Sam turning into a wolf. Oh my god, girl, calm down. Olivia finally calls Grace back and she admits that she was bitten by Jack, which I completely forgot to mention. Jack bit Olivia because he was like, if Grace won't cure me, she'll cure her best friend. Jack, low-key, evil mastermind for that. Olivia reveals that she knew where Jack was like the whole time and she never told Grace because she felt guilty because Grace was right about the werewolves. Literally the entire first half of this book where they're trying to find Jack could have been solved by Olivia. Oh, that's so frustrating. Olivia's now in her pre-wolf stages and Grace is there to comfort her. And then Beck calls Grace and he's like, I hate to ask you this because it puts you in danger of getting bitten, but maybe you could keep an eye on him until he changes. In reference to Jack, Beck is literally asking Grace to babysit Jack, who was the person who literally turned her best friend into a werewolf, is responsible for turning Sam back into a wolf, and threatened to kill her. What? And Grace agrees. So at Isabel's mom's clinic, there was a patient who had meningitis, and one of the main symptoms of meningitis is getting a really high fever. Isabel took it upon herself to draw 3 vials of this guy's blood to use as a potential cure. So now they have a plan. Isabel, Olivia, Jack, and Grace plan to use these 3 vials of meningitis infected blood to cure Jack, Grace, and Sam. They drug Sam with Benadryl, then put him in the car, and then drive over to Isabel's mom's clinic where the blood is being stored. They get there, they give it to Jack, he takes it like a champ. Then Olivia at the last second bows out, which is kind of fair because, you know, you're risking death. Grace literally says, I knew that in her position I'd make the same choice. Better to live with her beloved wolves than die of meningitis. Are the wolves really beloved to her? Like, did she like the wolves that much? Maybe, I guess. And Sam is still a wolf, so they can't administer the blood. So Grace uses her power of master manifestation. And he turns into a human. Once again, what are your fucking rules? You break them at every single turn. Turns to a human, she stabs that shit into him, and then he turns back into a wolf. And then Sam runs off. 3 days later, they go visit Isabel, and Jack is super sick. It kind of worked because he hasn't turned into a wolf anymore, but homeboy is dying. They make plans to take him to a hospital, but 15 minutes later, that dude is gone. Which was the first time I actually felt anything in this entire book. Because even though he was literally the main antagonist, I don't know why. I felt kind of bad that he died. I'm like, damn, I guess this is how Sam felt when he thought Shelby had died. Honestly, I felt worse for Isabel because she had to see her brother die twice. Now Olivia is glad that she didn't take the meningitis blood. And she's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna just embrace this wolf shit. And then in what feels like a complete 360, Olivia says, maybe it's just because it's so unpleasant trying not to change, but I want to. I'm actually looking forward to it. I know that sounds backwards. It was like so random for her character to suddenly be like, yes, I want to be a wolf. Like in 2 pages, she's changed her mind. Okay, so now Olivia's gone, Jack is dead. Isabel and Grace go to the bookstore and they're just looking at books. She's packing for her trip that she's supposed to take with Grace the very next day when she decides, you know what, let me go fill my bird feeder. Cause she's like, I can't let the birds go hungry. She goes out to fill her bird feeder and who comes out of the damn woods?
Sam.
So it killed Jack, but Sam is fine. So Sam is cured in her crazy plan. I still can't get over how their plan was to give them meningitis, one of the most deadly diseases, and the fact that it worked. They wrapped all that shit up in the last like 50 pages. I'm done. I'm over it. But yeah, that was Shiver. And unfortunately for me, I have all the rest of the books in the series, so I will be finishing it. So please, if you got it to this point, let me know. Would you rather me do one super long Snyder length film or break it up into like individual books? But yeah, I hated it. I will say, I think I give it a 1.5 out of 5 stars, only because the writing was good in some parts, but just the absolute ridiculous premise, the insta-love, the one-dimensional side characters, and the wildly conceived resolution. I hated it. It was terrible, but we're done. We're done, except we're not done because there's 3 more books. And I'm a glutton for torture. I'm not going to waste my $5 investment in this series. So we're going to finish it eventually. Until next time, which hopefully will be a good book. I'm currently in the middle of reading. So for once, you'll see me not be a hater, exploring different sides to myself. If you have any actually good werewolf books, please leave them in the comments, let me know. And see you next time. Bye.